Welcome to the Spreadex Six, the football spread betting show which previews all the major fixtures from the Premier League, Champions League, Europa League and more. Each week we'll invite a football betting guru on to preview all of the upcoming action. The tipster will run through these 6 spread betting markets in an attempt to find you winning bets. But what does each of these markets mean? Well, first let's give a very brief overview of how spread betting works more generally. Sports spread betting is essentially a game of higher or lower between you and the bookmaker. Spreadex will offer a spread predicting the outcome of an event, say Manchester United points over the course of a season. Their spread could be 59 to sell and 60 to buy. If you think the outcome will be higher, you buy. If you think the outcome will be lower, it's a sell. The more right or wrong you are, the more you will win or lose. So if you bought the Manchester United point spread for a tenner at 60, and they end up collecting 65 points, you would end up winning £50. If they only managed to get 57, however, you would lose £30, and so on and so forth. For a more in-depth explanation into spread betting in general, search Spreadex's YouTube channel. For now, let's look at how 6 of Spreadex's more popular football betting markets work. The first is total goals. This is simply the total number of goals scored in the match. For example, you might be able to sell at 2.8 and buy at 3. Now we all know that there can't be 2.8 goals in a game. This isn't expected goals we're talking about, but the maths remains the same. If you buy at 3 goals for a tenner and there are 6 goals, you win 10 times 3, which is £30. If there are no goals, you lose 10 times 3, which is again £30. With bookings, things are a little bit different, as the spread is based on booking points rather than the amount of cards. Booking points work like this. Every yellow card is 10 points and every red card is 25 points. The maximum amount of booking points one player can get is 35. So a second yellow card followed by a red is an extra 25 points on top of the 10 points for the first yellow. A booking spread of 36 to sell and 40 to buy therefore looks at the total number of booking points amassed in a game. So if you bought at 40 for £3 and there were 3 bookings and 1 red card, that would total 55 booking points and you would win £45. 55 minus 40 times 3. If there were 3 bookings and no red cards, it would total 30 booking points and you would lose £30. 30 minus 4 is minus 10 times 3 minus 30. Only cards shown to players who are active on the pitch at the time the card is shown are counted for this market. So bookings to substitutes, managers, none of that counts. On to player goal minutes. And this one is fairly self-explanatory. It is the total value of the minutes after which each player's goal is scored. So if Cristiano Ronaldo scored 1 goal in a game after 4 minutes, then the market is settled at 4. If that goal comes after 89 minutes, then it is settled at 89. If he were to score 2 goals in a game, in the 4th minute and the 89th minute, then those minutes would be combined and your bet would be settled at 93. If a player doesn't score in a game, then it is settled at 0. So not only are you betting on whether a player will score, but also when. This way of betting on goal scoring markets ensures your level of interest grows as the game goes on. This market is void if a player doesn't start, however it is traded in play, so you can still bet on subs when they come on. Corners now, and this one is as simple as it gets. You're just betting on the number of corners in a game. If the spread is 9.5 to sell and 10 to buy, and you buy for a tenner and there are 12 corners, you win £20. Simple. But of course, if there were only 8 corners, you would lose £20. Now we're going to look at multi-markets, and this one is a little bit trickier and a fair bit more volatile, so be careful with your staking. Multi-markets multiply various event values against each other. So, for example, we can use goals times corners as an example. In our imaginary game so far, we've had 3 goals and 12 corners, so the market would be settled at 3 times 12, which equals 36. We can swap out goals for bookings, so bookings times corners. Remember, this is booking points rather than the amount of cards shown. So if we were to take the 3 yellows and 1 red example, that would be 55 booking points times 12 corners, which comes to 660. To show the volatility, if there were still 55 booking points in the game, but just 3 corners, which can happen, then it would come to just 165 by comparison. Now that's not where the multi-markets stop. You can even bet on goals times corners times bookings. So if you think the game is going to be a total snooze fest, this is the one to sell. Or if it's likely to be an action-packed classic, then you might look to buy. 3 goals times 12 corners times 55 booking points is 1,980. So you want to keep your stakes small for this one, maybe down to just pennies, as we are dealing with some much higher variance in the multi-markets. Match performance is one of the best ways to back your hunch in a game. As is the case in the bookings market, every event here is attributed a points value. The values are as follows. A goal is 15 points, a corner is 3, a yellow card is 5 points, and a red 15, so different to the booking markets in this case. Then a penalty being awarded is 10 points, and a 0-0 draw is minus 25, the first negative value we've had so far. So if you're buying match performance in a game, you are betting on there being goals, cards, and corners. And if you're selling, then you are betting on a wholly uneventful game, with the 0-0 being something of a holy grail as the value tumbles by 25 points on the final whistle. If we take the game where there were 3 goals, 12 corners, 3 yellows and 1 red card, and no penalties, the match performance would settle at 111. If we take the same game, but if it ended goalless, then you would not only lose 45 points from the example of 3 goals being scored, but a further 25-point deduction would be applied for the board draw, leaving the sum of 41 points by comparison. So now you know the basics, why not try for yourself? These examples are just some of thousands of different spread betting markets available with Spreadex across all sports. Just remember that with sports spread betting, although you can win many more times your stake, you can also lose more than your initial deposit, so always set your stakes sensibly. Be sure to subscribe to WhoScored's YouTube channel with your notifications on as we kick off the Spreadex Six campaign. It all starts next week with a look ahead to 4 pulsating Champions League quarterfinals as our guest tipster attempts to find the value in club football's greatest prize. We hope you can join us.